I've tasted my way through a lot of the world thus far, and one thing has remained consistently true. Italian food is top tier. I'm not the only one who thinks this. In 2022, it was ranked the best in the world by Taste Atlas. One of my favorite things about traveling the world is experiencing the tastes that define each place, and so today, I'm taking you on a mouth-watering tour of the tastes that define the Italian experience. So, let's dive in. Risotto Classico. On today's journey, we start in the fashion-loving Milan for Risotto Classico at Il Riso, a dense saffron rice dish with a thick melted cheese and prosciutto in the middle, creating a warm, creamy Milanese classic. It's on the heavier side for its size, but the good news is only one will hold you over. Cacio e pepe. Cacio e pepe is a dish that comprises primarily of thick-cut noodle tubes doused with a thick, peppered, creamy cheese sauce. The creamy sauce has a remarkably rich taste, and the pepper is just subtle enough to keep the thick noodles from losing their taste. Penne al salmone. There are so many variations of pasta to be found throughout Italy. In penne al salmone, thick-cut penne noodles come absolutely drenched in an orange sauce of sour cream, salmon cream, tomato, butter, pepper, parsley, and wine. This dish was rich and delicious and surprisingly heavy given the size of the bowl. It was a perfect, hearty meal at the end of a rainy summer's evening in Rome. Pizza. Pizza in Italy is like barbecue in the southeastern United States. One doesn't go without the other. A pizza is usually served by the slice, but often in squares, a bit different than the slice you might be familiar with if you're an American or if you've visited New York City. Bigoli in salsa. Local to Venice, bigoli in salsa is an absolute must-try. I stumbled upon Osteria al Portego deep into the mix-matched patchwork that is Venice, and I am so glad I did. In the style of a traditional taverna, Al Portego serves up Italian pub fare relatively cheaply, and bigoli in salsa was only 14 euros. The bigoli noodles were thick-cut and dense, and the hot sardine spread on top was thick, chunky, and very fishy. Gelato. Gelaterias are literally everywhere in Italy, especially the further south you go. My absolute favorite gelato in Italy was a peanut, not peanut butter, just peanut, flavored cup at Caffè Mocha in Lido Ostia near Rome.
This is a peanut gelato. Just peanut cream. It doesn't even taste like peanut butter, it tastes like peanuts, straight up. This is the best gelato I think I've ever had. That's all I have to say.
Linguini, pistachio e gamberi. At Antica Facceria San Francesco in Milan, I found a linguine with pesto and shrimp, which was thick, firm, and dense. Pasta in Italy is certainly fresher and thicker than I've had in the United States, although I'm sure there are parts of New York City and Boston that would change my mind. Panettone. Pasticceria Cucchi in Milan is a famous home of one of Italy's dessert staples, panettone. Panettone is a sweet, fluffy, angel food-like cake bread with dried cranberries and oranges baked into it, which adds a citrusy flavor to the bread. Alongside an espresso or an Americano, or even just by itself, this afternoon snack is delicious. Cornetti. Breakfast in Italy isn't usually the ordeal it can be in places like the United States, but what they do eat is decadent. Cornettis are sweet, almost lemon cream-filled thick croissants dusted in powdered sugar and, as the standard Italian breakfast pastry, pairs quite often with a quick espresso. Florentine steak. At Florence's Trattoria dell'Oste, near the central train station, sits one of the best steaks I've ever had.
A Florentine steak is a delicacy here in Florence, Italy. So of course, it's the first thing I gotta try.
Florentine steaks are world-renowned and with good reason. The number of times the word wow went through my head while chewing into this true delicacy gave me an uncanny likeness to Owen Wilson. The Scatona steak from Trattoria dell'Oste was excellently salted, perfectly cooked, tender, huge, and incredibly juicy. Maltagliato. At a restaurant called UBK in Lido di Ostia, just outside of Rome, I tried a delicious seafood pasta dish with a little bit of a spicy kick. Maltagliato noodles look like large pasta wedges, which is always a good sign. The wedged noodles were then layered in a smooth, watery tomato sauce, small grape tomatoes, and a fresh, tender squid. This is both filling and light, and the perfect meal to enjoy on a break from the sun on a fun Italian beach day. Risotto alla Milanese. If you're ever in Milan, this is one that you won't want to miss. Risotto alla Milanese is a Milan staple that was absolutely worth trying. In the future, I'd probably opt out of the gorgonzola, but if you're a fan of blue cheese, then you'll love this dish. Porchetta sandwich. At a rather lively butcher shop right in the heart of central Rome sits a sandwich that's quite famous to the city. The porchetta sandwich. On panini bread and filled with delicious and fresh thin-sliced pork, this sandwich is smoky and flavorful and, of course, in typical Italian fashion, comes accompanied with a delicious red wine. Lasagna. I think it's safe to say that lasagna is pretty ubiquitous around the world as a staple in Italian cuisine. Almost every restaurant menu has lasagna, each with its own little twist. My favorite rendition was found at Cafe Valentina near the Colosseum and Forum in Rome. This light plate was soft, smooth, and very tomato-heavy and ingrained with a light meat sauce and white sauce cheese. I suppose you really can't go wrong with a classic right from the source. Gnocchi. Gnocchi is a classic all across the country, but one of my best friends who studied in Florence for a semester in college assured me that gnocchi was a can't miss of this city specifically. He was spot on in this assessment. Found in a rustic atmosphere at Pensavo Peggio, gnocchi is so good. The warm, squishy, creamy potato dumplings are doused in a rich cheese sauce and dusted in Parmesan. Linguini, aglio e olio, peperoncino e pecorino. This decadent and rich pasta dish bursts with a wide spread of flavors. The tastes and textures consist of long, flat pasta with garlic oil, red pepper, and pecorino cheese. If and when you find yourself in the historic, rustic, rolling green hills of Italy, these are the dishes that you can't miss. Of course, this is in no way a full list, and I'm certain I missed plenty of the defining eats, so share your recommendations and your favorites in the comments below. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.